And Donald Trump is not slowing down on his ongoing rough-and-tumble battle with the GOP over what he calls unfair delegate rules.
The Colorado thing was very, very unfair, and I thought Louisiana was very unfair. I won Louisiana. I won it easily.
So won the popular vote.
I
he
won
got
the
more
popular
delegates.
vote, and because of all this shenanigans that goes on. And this
but
is
you call them shenanigans. Those are the rules, and didn't you know those?
You know why the rules? I know the rules very well, but I know that it's stacked against me by the establishment. I fully understand it. We had people out there, and they weren't heard. And then, in fact, today, when it was announced, the numbers were announced, they put out something on Twitter saying, oh, we stopped Trump. Essentially, we stopped Trump, we stopped. That was put out by the party in Colorado. The point is, it was stacked against us.
But the RNC is not staying silent. Republican National Committee Chairperson RNC Priebus firing back at Trump with this tweet. Nomination process known for a year and beyond. It's the responsibility of the campaigns to understand it. Complaints now? Give us all a break. 2012 GOP presidential candidate Mr. Herman Cain goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Hello, Greta. Thank you. Happy to be here.
And happy to have you. So, if you're the mediator on this one, or the arbiter on this one, are you team RNC Priebus or are you team Donald Trump as to this spat over the delegate system?
I would be team move on. Okay, Colorado is just merely a small feud. There really is no feud between the RNC and Donald Trump, because the RNC did not set the rules of Colorado. Granted, it's controversial, but let's move on. The bigger prizes are coming up in New York, Pennsylvania, California, and all of these other states. I wouldn't focus on Colorado. It's controversial, but I don't think that that's a game changer.
I'll tell you what has caught my attention. First of all, the rules were established a long time ago. I got that. I think by October 1st, and
right.
Every campaign had access to it. It didn't matter, you know, who you were, if you're one of the 17 or whatever it was. Everybody had access to it. But the Colorado GOP tweeting out on April 9th, we did it. Hashtag never Trump. And, you know, if that doesn't say something, I mean, that's certainly, you know, it sounds like something isn't quite right in Colorado. That's very suspicious. But
right.
even more than that is that the Colorado Republicans say they're investigating it. Well, that's gotten a little silly now. If someone uses my account, all I have to say is who has my password. And it's sort of, you know, it's a little disingenuous to act like this is, you know, an FBI investigation to see who hacked into the Pentagon. I mean, they know who did this, but, you know, they're slow walking it.
You're absolutely right, Greta. And what you just illustrated relative to Colorado is the fact that it's not about Colorado versus Trump or anybody else. It's about, quote unquote, the establishment that's against Trump. And when people in Colorado, or the people that are participating in the Republican Party in Colorado, they are bragging about the fact that they stopped Trump, that's the bigger feud. And that's what's going to basically outrage many of the people that are Republicans in Colorado who didn't get a chance to vote. And like I said, let's move on.
But but wait a second. It looks a little deeper. I mean, if I were on the receiving end of this, I wouldn't be happy, because you could have one jerk who tweets that, I got it. But then where is the rest of the party in Colorado that they haven't come out, they haven't really told who did it, what were the circumstances, and instead they're doing a cover-up. They're saying, well, we're just doing an investigation. Now, I call that a cover-up. They may just say that it's some huge, you know, deep investigation. I just don't buy it. And so that makes me now suspicious. That really does sort of undermine the integrity of the Colorado Republican Party and how they conducted their business. So, what's the holdup? Tell us what happened.
In that regard, I would agree with you. You're absolutely right. It does seem as if there might be something else, but we don't know at this point. What we do know is that there are a lot of delegates out there left in these upcoming primaries. Trump is leading in New York. He's leading in Pennsylvania. He's leading in California. Let's focus on that. Look, Colorado is a blip, in my opinion, in terms of this whole process. Are there some questions about the process in some of these states? Yes.
You know what? Here's the problem.
Look,
I think we can multitask. And you say move on. That's terrific, but that sort of sweeps it under the carpet for what happened. Maybe it's not something sinister that happened, but I think we can multitask. And I don't blame Trump for raising hell that, you know, what's going on in Colorado. Now, he knew the rules. You know, and actually I'm against him on that part. But I don't understand this. But I'm taking the last word on this. Anyway, Mr. Herman Cain, thank you for joining us.
Greta, you can take the last word whenever you want to.
You just did. Anyway, thank you. Donald Trump railing against the GOP is dominating the political headlines and taking over the 2016 race.
There's no chicanery here. There's no trickery. But it is the establishment trying to change the weight of the rules in their favor.
And people could say, oh, well, that's the way the game's played. Look, they should have had an election. They didn't have an election.
They have rigged it over on the Democrat side. They're using their superdelegates. It's not rigged on the Republican side.
Donald has been yelling and screaming.
The RNC, the Republican National Committee, they should be ashamed of themselves.
It's no secret that Colorado was going to have a convention, and they're going to choose their delegates before the primary. It's just nobody leaked it. Nobody talked about it.
Because it has nothing to do with democracy. They took the votes away from the people in Colorado. People are burning up their Republican cards because they want to vote.
These are the insider guys. They made this decision in August. The reason they did it this way was to facilitate one of their own insider candidates.
The other record political panel is here from Real Clear Politics, Caitlin Huey-Burns, and from U.S. News & World Report, David Catanese. David, look, the rules were the rules. I got that last October. But this Colorado primary with the caucus system to get the delegates was on Saturday. And that was when this we did it, hashtag Never Trump happened. On Sunday, they say the Republican Party says an investigation is ongoing. It is now Wednesday night. I mean, why aren't they telling us? I mean,
I have no idea. Maybe they don't know.
Well, here's who has the password? Who tweeted right before? Who tweeted right after?
They have to know. I'm sure they're going to.
That's a lie.
They are probably hoping that this blows over, like Herman Cain was saying, the Colorado GOP, because frankly, that tweet gives fuel to the fire of the Donald Trump argument that this is rigged. Now, it's not the rules weren't rigged, but obviously the parties, there are the establishment, and there's nothing more establishment than a state party, is against Trump. That was just a moment of candor that shouldn't have happened under any circumstance if they want to be seen as fair arbiters.
Is there any doubt that the Colorado GOP, at least this tweeter who obviously had access and so enough was apparently enough stature within the party to have access to this account, is there any doubt that they didn't want Trump?
Well, there's certainly an anti-Trump sentiment across the country and within kind of the establishment ranks of the Republican Party, and I think Donald Trump can really use that to his advantage, as David was alluding to. This really riles up Donald Trump's supporters, telling them, though, that the establishment is trying to take this away from me, even though these are the rules. And I also think it gives him some way out a little bit. If we get to the convention and he doesn't have the requisite number of delegates and isn't able to secure them after on the first ballot and in subsequent ballots, I think it gives him a way to say, look, they had it in for me the whole time.
And I think we should point out this as Reince Priebus, chairman of the GOP. He has nothing to do with these state rules. This is not Reince Priebus at all. This is the Colorado State GOP, right?
This is the Colorado State GOP, but look, there's two sets of rules we're talking about here. There's the rules that each state gets to set on how they want to run their primary or caucus or convention. But then there are a whole other set of rules on how they govern the convention. And there's a lot of overlap there because you can set a rule right before the convention. They can change the rules.
But that's in July.
That's in July.
We haven't even gotten to that fight.
Right, but a lot of those rules are important for how many delegates a person has, how many states a person has won, whether they won the majority of delegates in a certain amount of states. All those rules can still be changed. And I think that's where Trump's forces could have a bigger beef. And
there's, of course, there's going to be the fight on who gets to be on that Rules Committee.
Right, exactly. Who would have thought that the Rules Committee would be the focus of this campaign? But in a campaign where the spotlight is really on getting that 1237 number of delegates and making sure who gets nominated, who is eligible for nomination. I mean, this is all going to be settled in the Rules Committee. But those rules have to be agreed upon by a majority at the convention. So that's a whole other fight. So we could see a rules fight throughout that whole week.
And the only place I disagree is that say, quote, where it is settled. I'm not sure that's where it gets settled. Anyway.